The other day, I remarked that we write letters to people on various occasions. One of the kinds of letters we write is the letter of recommendation, a close relative to the letter of introduction. In the former, we write to an admissions office or to a potential employer commending someone we know for school admission or for hire. The latter we write when someone we know is going to meet people we know and we want to help make a solid connection with one another. Today's letter is similar to these kinds of letters. Even though it is very short, it is worth our while to read. Today, we continue our countdown of the 6 shortest books of the Bible. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Thursday, February 3rd, 2022. Weighing in at just 335 words in Greek and containing 25 verses in one short chapter is Paul's letter to Philemon. Most of Paul's letters are to congregations as a whole. As such, they contain sustained discussions of theological ideas. Paul is often trying to reinforce his teachings to the congregations, even in his absence. The letter to Philemon, on the other hand, is a letter to a single individual in one of those congregations that Paul had visited. Philemon lived in Colossae and belonged to the Colossian church there. For the most part, we only catch fragments of the personal relationships Paul had with individuals in some of those churches. Rarely do we get this much of a glimpse at one relationship in particular. I said that this letter is somewhat like a letter of recommendation or introduction that we might write today, but in this case, the subject of the letter was someone well known to Philemon. It was his runaway slave, Onesimus. Okay, let's stop right there. Let's name the elephant in the room here. We do not condone slavery in any way, shape, or form. We don't even excuse it in the past. But just because we neither condone nor excuse it doesn't minimize its reality in history. It was, in fact, part of the world in which Paul lived. No use trying to argue that Paul should have been against it. He was simply a creature of a world that is long gone. Paul's purpose in writing this letter was to encourage Philemon to receive Onesimus back into his service without punishment or retaliation. It seems Philemon had left Colossae and Philemon's household either with Paul or after Paul left, following him. Paul had apparently welcomed him and kept him in his protection for some unknown period of time. Now Paul is sending Onesimus back to Philemon's household, along with this letter, appealing Onesimus's case to Philemon. What is noteworthy of this letter is that Paul sees Onesimus not as an inferior being, but as a fellow child of God, and he encourages Philemon to do the same. He says, I am sending him, that is, my own heart, back to you. I wanted to keep him with me so that he might be of service to me in your place during my imprisonment for the gospel. But I preferred to do nothing without your consent in order that your good deed might be voluntary and not something forced. Perhaps this is the reason he was separated from you for a while, so that you might have him back forever, no longer as a slave, but more than a slave, a beloved brother, especially to me, but now how much more to you, both in the flesh and in the Lord. So if you consider me your partner, welcome him as you would welcome me. In a very real sense, this puts meat on the bones of Paul's earlier letter to the Colossians, where he says in that letter, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other. Just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you must also forgive. And above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. Where his letter to the Colossians contains this soaring general principle, his letter to Philemon makes clear what this principle of Christian love looks like in this very concrete circumstance. What it says to me is that Christian love is our duty at all times and in all circumstances, no exceptions. There is no part of our lives that we can carve out and say that Christian love does not apply. When we return tomorrow, we reach number 2 on our list of the shortest books of the Bible. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.